Welcome to That Digital Take. I'm your host, Torri Webster. Welcome back to That Digital Take. This episode is brought to you in partnership with Smashbox, and I'm so excited to kick things off by talking about a true MVP in my makeup bag, the Smashbox Pore Vanishing Primer, which is a brand new product for Smashbox. You know I'm constantly in front of a camera, on red carpets, hosting events, and filming content. So when I say this primer does the most, I really mean it. It instantly smooths the look of pores, controls shine all day, and locks in makeup for up to 12 hours. Like, this really is the backbone of my beat. And what I love the most, it's oil-free, doesn't clog pores, and there's zero white cast. It just gives that really velvety, soft focus finish that makes you feel like you're wearing a filter, but in real life. Whether I'm getting glam for press, podcasting, or running around Toronto, this is the step that really sets the tone, okay? You can grab the Smashbox Pore Vanishing Primer now at Shoppers Drug Mart, and trust me, this will become a staple in your routine like it is for me. Hello everyone, welcome back to the pod. Another day, another dollar, as they say. Things are moving and grooving. We've got a lot going on, and this episode will be finding you while I am gone, gallivanting in the Hamptons. So I had to pre-record this. I hope it's finding you all well, but just know that I will be serving looks in the Hamptons with Revolve while you're consuming this content. And because of that, it has kind of sparked the thesis of this episode. I really wanted to talk about fashion today. I feel like this is kind of a topic we haven't, dived too deep into over the last few months. And it's something I've realized it's very in my orbit right now, whether it's because I have a lot of upcoming shoots with brands or because I have a lot of press trips coming up. But I feel like when that's the case and I'm out here packing bags and creating wardrobe staples, it makes me realize how much fashion is such a big part of my life as a creator. And I will start by saying this, it really never gets old. But what made me reflect on my relationship with fashion is that I do feel like things have changed. You know, when I started in this industry 10 years ago, and let me be very clear. I'm a maximalist through and through, but when I started 10 years ago, it was like more truly was more. Like, I wanted different looks all the time. I really wanted to be making a statement with what I was wearing all of the time. And it did feel like my consumption got to a point that was maybe not healthy or not productive. And I wanted to reframe that, and I am starting to reframe that and starting to rethink, about my personal style and how I make purchases and, pieces I invest in and where I spend my money. So that's how I want to kind of structure today's episode. So number one, I want to chat about the consumption era that I feel like I was in, that I'm sort of out of, but sort of still in. And I say this all the time, like, I talk about things as I'm also working on things. So it's not like I have it all figured out, but these are topics and feelings that are circulating in my life, and that means it's coming on the pod. So number one, hauls, affiliate marketing, and micro trends when it comes to fashion. So we obviously all saw this massive rise of fashion hauls when it came to YouTube and TikTok. This was about like 5 or 6 years ago. Now, I have to be real with myself. When I started TikTok, when that rolled around, I built a lot of my early content and a lot of my early viral content on shopping hauls. I don't know if you were following me then or if you were a part of that journey, but I did a lot of like Abercrombie denim hauls for like short queens. And then I did a lot of Aritzia fashion hauls. Like, I really, the backbone of my brand was like consumption and fashion. So because of that, I never felt inherent guilt around like spending money when it came to buying clothing. But what ended up happening over the years was I had just this massive influx of clothes that I, one, wouldn't wear, or two, would just like literally not fit in my closet anymore because I had way too many items. Then there was like real money obviously being spent on these clothes that I was realizing, yes, was funding my business in some ways because it was like, I'm creating content. So this is then in turn creating opportunities for me or opportunities with the brands. But it did get to a place where I was like, who is this all for? Like, I'm spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month on, buying content, on buying fashion. But like, who is this for? If it's not for me, it feels like I'm doing this for my audience. And I don't know, like, that relationship started to feel strained. Now, this part still remains true for me, and I'm still working on it. There has always been and continues to be a pressure for content creators to constantly have a new look, a new outfit, a new fashion statement in every single piece of content that they put out. And I have to be honest, like I just said, I don't know what the future of that looks like. I haven't really figured that out yet. Like, I can use this podcast as an example. I don't think I've worn the same outfit twice in all 35 episodes. Now, is that a good thing for you guys? I don't know. You tell me. Do you like that I look different in every single episode and that there's differentiation day to day? Like, I changed to record this episode because I feel like I like that feeling that you're meeting me on a new day and we're in a new look, and that's a part of it. And part of that is branding. But when it comes to shoots and content, I used to always buy new things every single time. A new look, a new fashion statement, for lack of a better word. Now, here is the truth behind the veil of influencer culture. So much of what we do now and what I do now and what I have made an effort to do now is pulling looks. So not buying new looks, but instead pulling looks, whether that's like from fashion houses or from stylists. And this is why we can't compare ourselves to influencers, because 90% of what influencers are wearing is 1, gifted products, so they haven't paid for it. 2, is on loan. 3, being borrowed. And 4, being returned. So I think we just have to be really careful about looking at an influencer's life and saying, oh, I want to emulate my fashion to be like theirs. I want to wear the same amount of designer clothes as they are. I want to buy the designer bags. I want to do all that. Be careful with that comparison game, because I can sit here and say so much of what I wear is gifted, is on loan, is returned after being worn for a shoot. And that is just where I am at in my career. Like, I just don't think that it's financially smart or conscious to be buying new outfits every single time I have a shoot. Now, I will say there's also been a shift when it comes to affiliate culture. We kind of had this major rise in affiliate marketing over the last couple of years. And this has made consumption feel productive in a way almost, but then in the same breath also makes it feel really addictive. Like, we think about a platform like Amazon, where we see influencers constantly linking things out, and we feel like in order to keep up with the Joneses, we have to have that new hot thing or that new trending sweat set or, the new jewelry look or whatever it might be. It feels like we're always behind. So I don't know. I play into this a lot in my content. So I'm clearly not the person to ask, but are there influencers, and maybe you guys can tell me, that are out there that do a really good job of re-wearing looks, re-wearing fashion? I love the Steve Jobs sentiment of it all. He just wears the same thing all the time, and that is a uniform, and that uniform becomes the look. Maybe I get a uniform for the pod. This is an idea. Maybe I get a uniform for the pod and I wear the same thing every single time. Do we love that? Do we hate that? I don't know. Do people like to see what I'm going to wear? Is that a part of the brand, for lack of a better, way to spin it? So I don't know. I do really struggle with this, but just as someone that consumes a lot of content and then also does a lot of shopping, I'm just realizing that this is potentially an unhealthy relationship that I have with fashion. Okay. So number 2, the excess of influencer life, which is gifting, which is PR boxes, which is access to fashion closets. It's constant abundance. And I will say, it's abundance, but with strings attached. And I think that that's where people get confused. They're like, what do you mean? That's so amazing. You get gifted all this beauty product, or you get gifted all this, clothing. And yes, but there's strings attached. Like, I owe X amount of content or X amount of posts in exchange for X amount of gifted clothing or X amount of gifted product. So yes, there is an idea that maybe that's fun in theory, but in practice, it's actually sometimes a burden. It feels like work on top of work that I already have to create and work that I already have to do. So I'm not saying that it's not a blessing, because I do love being exposed to so many new fashion brands and makeup brands and trying new products. But I guess it just plays into my personal sentiments that are feeling a bit burnt out, because it's so much abundance all the time. So with that, there is this blurred line between personal taste and brand strategy. And this is a real thing. We wear clothes that are brand friendly because that plays into our success as influencers. And clothing is also an extension, obviously, of my personality and my brand. And I'm really honest about that. I've always used clothing as a form of self-expression. I'm someone that loves fashion. And that's where I've sort of struggled to find this balance of do I really have to be buying a new outfit, when I go to a new festival? Do I really have to? And the answer for me so far has been yes. And I don't know if that's, again, the right answer. Like I've spent so much money, so much of my own personal money on clothing, brand building, and spending money on things that will be perceived a certain way. And that's just like an honest thing. Like whether that's, wearing a certain dress because it makes a certain statement about who I am or what my brand stands for. You guys know that I'm someone that wears a ton of color. I almost exclusively wear color. Sometimes I'll wear black and white, but I wear a ton of color, and that's not by mistake. Like I use color as a way to express myself and to hopefully stand out in a crowd and hopefully, stand out on camera, which is like a big thing as well. You have to remember, like I came from an acting background. So for me, having unbranded clothing that was colorful is sort of how my whole wardrobe got built. Because when I was 10, 11, 12 and started acting, they always say, wear color to your audition. Like it can't be branded, but wear like a red long sleeve shirt or a hot pink tank top. Or so like my whole like wardrobe, even coming up as a young person, was like built off of those sentiments. Like what looks good on camera and what is going to translate and what's going to grab someone's attention in an audition room. And then that really got pivoted to like influencer culture. And I was like, oh, amazing. Like I can stand out in a certain way if I dress a certain way. And I always used clothing as a form of expression in that sense because I didn't want to come across as like the bimbo or like I was never like the super sexy girl. Like I wasn't wearing like the bikini outfits or whatever. And that was by strategy. Like that was by strategy so that like I was taken seriously and I could, come online and have a true long-standing career, hopefully. So anyways, all that to say, fashion has always been a big part of my life and my like story. And I'm just trying to reframe potentially what that might look like in the years to come. And I will also say that partnerships can sometimes influence the way that I use my wardrobe. Obviously, I just talked about having so much color in my wardrobe, but part of that too can sometimes mean choosing colors that are brand friendly. And my brand partners have almost come to expect that from me, which is pretty hilarious. Like when we were at F1, my Heineken partner was like, oh my God, like Heineken green, like can't wait to see your Heineken green outfit. It's almost like I've become known for using fashion and color as a way to tell the brand story as well, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily, but it just means a lot more money being spent on fashion that I don't know if it's good or bad. I guess is the thesis. I'm using fashion as a way to like express myself, but I don't know if it's gotten to a point where it's like a runaway train and I need to pull back a little bit because I have so many clothes, so much closet, so much going on. And it just feels like a bit of mental gymnastics because I don't know where I fit in this like clutter. I sit here and I'm like, is it all just too much? And I think that goes back to so many conversations we've had about influencer culture. Like, is it all too much? Like, is there a way that we can almost combat the system and go back and relearn like what style actually means to us? Like, if I went back to basics, like what are the dresses that I actually feel my best in? What are the jewelry pieces that I feel match my aesthetic the best? Like what are the purses that I reach for the most? And can everything else be noise and can go to the wayside and be pushed aside and also be given back? Like this is a huge other piece that I talk about when it comes to PR and gifting. Like I try my hardest to just give back and give it to people where it can actually go to use and actually be, not wasteful. Okay, so number 4, the conscious pivot, as we've been discussing throughout the episode. I really, hear me now, am going to try to shop less. I am going to hopefully buy better. Buy pieces that are potentially more expensive, but that will last longer, that are not based on fast fashion, that are not based on trends, that are not based on what is on my For You page on TikTok. I believe in archiving, and I always have, and I really like this. I have kept some amazing pieces from like 10, 15 years ago that I still pull on. And that means that I made good choices back then. It's almost like I lost myself in the middle, in the early stages of my shopping when I first came into any real money. I bought really amazing pieces and I was conscious about it. Then there was like this influx of influencer culture and I feel like I lost my personal sense of like not style, because I've always felt like clear on like what looks good on me and what style looks good on me, but maybe like my like taste. Maybe that's a good way to say it. I feel like I've lost my taste. So I need to reframe declutter, go back to the archives, pull out the most iconic pieces, and then this is the biggest thing, get the most comfortable in re-wearing outfits. Re-wearing outfits proudly on brand events, re-wearing outfits proudly for shoots, re-wearing outfits proudly potentially on the podcast, on camera, for branded pieces, like all of it. Like I think I just need to be like, I don't need a new dress or a new look every single time I go to shoot. Okay, let's see if that's possible. Number 5, the industry commentary and why I feel like this is relevant now and why it's kind of coming up for me. I feel like there's been this massive rise in resale culture. So, and we've seen it, like people love to, go to a consignment store now and find hot pieces and go for used vintage styles and reselling old pieces. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. I haven't done that. 1, because I'm lazy, but 2, because I feel like I put too much value in my clothing in the sense that I don't want to get rid of things and I need to detach myself and just be like, this doesn't matter. Like, goodbye. Quiet luxury has also been a huge, massive trend. Like, we don't need to see your Balenciaga, Louis Vuitton, like branded outfit. Like, people love the quiet luxury. And I think part of that is going back to quality pieces, spending more on one piece and getting like the perfect white t-shirt and just wearing that every single day. Like I said, maybe the uniform is the way that I have to go. And then finally, slow fashion. Like, we know that fast fashion is not only terrible for the environment, but also just we've moved on from it so quickly. We're like, oh, this was cute for one night out, I'm over it. It's like, okay, we can't shop like that. That is 1, terrible for our wallets, 2, terrible for the environment, and I'm just not on board anymore. We must change. We must change. Now I'm just getting angry. Okay, brands are also shifting away from volume and towards value is what it feels like, right? Like, it feels like brands are really trying to put their money where their mouth is. They're not trying to put out a million SKUs. They're trying to focus on one thing that they're good at and hopefully have audiences buy into that. Again, we have so many brands that are great examples, but like Summer Fridays is like an epic example of that. Like, they focus on what they're good at. They don't try to dilute themselves with a million different products. And I think we can all be the same with fashion. So we also feel like followers are now more interested in authenticity than the latest drop on Zara or the latest Aritzia haul. And I've even found that in the shift of my own personal content, right? Like, I talked about early in this episode how I relied a lot on hauls or talking about fashion in my early days on TikTok. And yes, that was like a great way in with my audience and a great way to build potentially early audience members. But the reality is, like, that's not sustainable for me. Like, 1, I can't be spending that amount of money on clothes every single month. And then 2, I feel like audiences are exhausted by that. It's not like they have the disposable income to then turn around and be like, okay, amazing. Now I'm going to go to Aritzia and do this whole haul. It's like, it's lost its touch. Like, audiences don't want it. Influencers feel exhausted by it. So I'm sensing a shift. We got to move away. We got to find our Steve Jobs uniforms. We've got to spend potentially more on a more capsule wardrobe and something that can be reworn time and time again, even if it is color, even if it is things that are a little funky. And I guess, sorry, just a quick aside, but I think that that's where I've kind of had issue is a lot of my wardrobe is not staple pieces. A lot of my wardrobe is the piece. It's the moment. It's the thing that will get attention online, whether that's like a red carpet look or a look for a brand. And so because of that, at the end of the day, I'm left with these looks and I'm like, how could I possibly rewear that? I just wore that on a Netflix red carpet. So I think it's just, again, like I said, my mental gymnastics of getting over that and being like, who cares that I wore it on a Netflix red carpet? Wear it and wear it on the pod. I show up in a gown next week. You guys are like, oh, she's taking it all very seriously. Anyways, you guys get me. I think I'm in a safe space by sharing this, and I hope it resonates with you guys. Or I'm jealous. I know there's people in my life that are so great at having capsule wardrobes and more refined wardrobes and things that can just like really fuel them and feed them on a daily basis that is not just an exploding closet. And I really hope that this summer I can put some energy towards cleansing my palette, for lack of a better word. In all saying that, off I go to the Hamptons with Revolve. I will be posting all of my looks and linking them. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, I can't. I don't even know. Like, this is the struggle that I deal with. It's like, then I'm going to have a whole influx of chic new looks from Revolve, and I have to absolutely style them for you guys. Guys, I don't know. This influencer life is just like, it's a painful one. I'm constantly at odds with myself. I want to be better. The industry puts me here. Okay. It's constantly pulling me back down, and I don't know. Stay with me. Love me. Stay with me. Anyways, hope everything in the Hamptons goes well, and I will be back with a full episode refresh with you upon my return. And I'm sure I'll have many, many stories because I'm going to be with all the American influencers. I'm going to be with, the top dogs. So that's where I get the real tea, as they say. So if you do want to follow along on some of the behind the scenes that's going to be happening in the Hamptons, please follow me on Instagram at Torri Webster. You can also find some BTS that I'm going to be sharing on Snapchat. So be sure to find me there. There's just going to be lots of content coming out of that trip. So yeah, please follow along. And then finally, if you're an OG and you've been seeing this podcast for a long time, how do you guys feel about my new setup? I know when I have guests, you guys have seen before, I get really cozy on the couch like this, and I just feel like it's more intimate when I'm interviewing people. But for this episode, we were also in this setup, and I figured we could just record in the same way. So let me know if you love this little couch vibe, if you feel it's more intimate than when I'm at my desktop. I kind of like both. I feel like I'm going to bounce back and forth. But let me know, like if there's one that you're more drawn to, if you feel like the couch is more cozy and brings out a more zesty side of me, let me know, and maybe I will couch it more often. Otherwise, I'll be back at my desktop doing some real business next time around, and we will see you in the next episode. Love you, mean it. Bye.